Hi everyone, welcome back to Ping and Play, where we break down complex network topics into simple, fun, and easy to understand the concepts. Today, we are talking about something you can use every single day without even realizing it. Or think of an internet address book. Let's dive into it. What's this thing? So today I'll tell you what is DNS. DNS stands for domain name system. It will translate the domain name into IP address and IP address into domain name. Why? What is this translation? Let me tell you. For example, let's take this is your friend's house. So you want to reach this friend's house, okay? But you have only his house number. So with this house number, are you able to easily find this house? No, it's inconvenient, right? In that case, DNS will comes to in picture. What is DNS? DNS is nothing but domain name system. Humans like us won't understand the similarly. Computers on the internet don't use names like www.google.com. They use the numbers called IP addresses. Numbers called IP address. Suppose if you want to access the website, so here you can go www dot see harsatmehta.in. So you are able to access this website whatever you want, right? You can able to access this website. What's the backend is going on? DNS. What DNS will do? It will translate the domain name into IP address and IP address into domain name. Often is referred as phone book of the internet. Why? Why it is a sense? See, suppose if you have a mobile phone, so how many are remembering your friends or family phone numbers to call them? Simply you'll go contacts and will dial to the number. Humans like us won't understand and remember the IP addresses of websites or else contact numbers of everyone. So it won't be possible to remember. So simply we'll do www.google.com, www.instagram, but system won't understand the names. It only understand the numbers and IP address. Numbers and IP addresses. Clear? So DNS act as a translates the domain name into IP address into domain name. If you type google.com, see, you are accessing the Google website here. So you type the www.google.com into your browser. So your computer asks DNS server, what is IP address of google.com? What is IP address of google.com? And it will retrieve the IP address and enable the user can access this google.com website. Got it? See here. It will use both TCP and UDP port number 53. And if you enter, see here, if you enter www.facebook.com, first it will check the local cache. Our system will maintain the local cache. I'll tell you. And it will check the DNS resolver, and then it will check the DNS resolver. If you enter the www.google.com, if the IP address which was resides in the computer cache, it will DNS will enable the access to this website. If system won't have the IP address of this facebook.com, what it will do, it will again check the DNS resolver. DNS resolver is nothing but, so in your home router, internet service provider, ISP also will maintain the DNS cache. DNS cache to resolve the IP address of this particular www.facebook.com. If the DNS resolver will not have the IP address of this facebook.com, if it will send the recursive query to root server. If the root server will not have the IP address of this facebook.com, it will go with top level domain. Top level domain is nothing but .com, .in, .dev, .military, .government, .organization. Many top level domains are there. So you can DNS will resolve the IP addresses from TLD. If the www.facebook.com IP address which was resides in TLD. If even though TLD will not have the IP address of www.facebook.com, then it will go to root server and then final authority of the server. So this is the process of DNS. Resolve the IP address and can give the access to user to access this website. I'll tell you clearly again. See here the picture. There is in this process there will be two queries, recursive query and iterative query. Recursive query and iterative query. What is iterative query and what is recursive query? See here. If you want to access this example.com website, if you enter this IP address into your browser, DNS will check local cache. Local cache. If local cache will not have the IP address of this example.com, it will send the recursive query to DNS resolver. DNS resolver is nothing but your ISP maintain this DNS resolver servers. Got it? If the DNS resolver will not have the IP address of this example.com, it will send the iterative query to root server. It will send the iterative query to root server. If root server will not have the IP address of this example.com, it will send the iterative query to TLD server. Top level domain server. Top level domain server is nothing but, see here, some of the familiar top level domains are .com for commercial, .org, .net, .education, .government, .military, .in. Many top level domains are there. Each domain will maintain that server. If you enter www.facebook.com, it will go with this .com TLD server. If you enter the if you want to resolve the IP, if DNS will have to resolve the IP address within this organization website, it will go with this TLD server. So if the TLD server will not have the IP address of this example.com, it will send the query to authoritative server. Authoritative server. It is the final authority to maintain all the IP addresses of website. See, guys, tons of lakhs of websites which was resides over the network, right? How can you see? I'll show you one thing. See what the system understand these numbers and IP addresses. I'll give the theory to you. Let's go to command prompt. If I want to access www.facebook.com, see here, this is the IP address. Are you able to remember this IP address if you want to access the facebook.com? No, we can't. Humans like us won't remember this IP address. So many are there. So suppose if you want to access the www.google.com. This is the IP address of google.com. IPv6 guys. Are you able to remember this IP address? Whenever you want to access this website, you need to enter this. Is that possible? No, it's not possible to remember all the IP addresses of websites. In this case, DNS will resolve the IP address into domain into IP address. At where DNS resolve IP address into domain, if the if www.example.com IP address which was resides in the root server, DNS server will establish the TCP connection and can able to give the access to the user. So in that way DNS uses TCP and UDP protocols. Clear? So in this way, what is this recursive and iterative query? See here. Recursive query is nothing but the DNS server that receives the request is responsible for resolving the query fully. If the server does not know the answer for that IP address of the domain name, it will query the DNS servers on behalf of client until it either finds the answer or return an error. For example, when you typing play.com into your browser, your DNS result sends a recursive query to correct IP address, querying various DNS server until find it. As I told you earlier, this is the see these blue lines. So user is accessing the example.com. User is want to access this example.com. It will send the queries to servers. The types of queries is called recursive and iterative. If the DNS resolver will send the query to root server, please find the address of example.com. It called iterative query. It called iterative query. Iterative query. So this is the process of DNS to resolve the IP address to domain name to IP addresses. So without DNS, we'd have to remember long, complicated IP addresses for every website. DNS makes the internet user friendly by letting us easy to understand the names like www.example.com, www.google.com, www.facebook.com, www.matrimony.com, anything. Tons of websites will be there. You can't remember the IP addresses of every domain. It's like a phone book of internet. It's a phone book of internet because it translating the human readable domain names into machine readable IP addresses. So it will use both TCP and UDP while querying the, see here, while querying the other servers it will use UDP. Once it will resolve the IP address, it will do TCP connection with the user and establish a three-way handshake and will give the access to website for the user here. So that's how DNS will work. In a nutshell,
Your
earlier I have
internet
said DNS
translator
maintain the
and
local cache.
phone book.
I'll show you how it will be. ipconfig slash display DNS. See here, record name, record type, time to live. Time to live is nothing but the span of time which this website IP address will be into local cache. లోకల్ క్యాష్ లో టైం టు లివ్ అంటే ఏంటి? లోకల్ క్యాష్ లో ఆ వెబ్సైట్ ఉండే టైం అన్నమాట. 29 minutes అనుకోండి. 20 minutes తర్వాత it will delete. The record will be delete. Here, record name, record type. This is the DNS table. See how many I'll show you. See here, many records will be there. You can see here there will be here. What is this A record? A record, A record. If DNS want to resolve IPv4, it will be placed in A record. If IPv6, it's quad A record. It is IPv6 records. For IPv4, it a record. For IPv6, it will maintain quad A record. Clear? What is DNS record? DNS records are instructions stored in DNS zone files. These are the DNS zone files. To tell the DNS server how to handle the queries for a domain, they map domain names to specific resources like IP addresses or mail servers. And one more record will be there. Here you can see it's a record. See here another. It's a CNAME record. So these are the DNS records, DNS zones, DNS records. So this is how it will resolve the IP address into domain name into IP addresses in a nutshell. What is CNAME? CNAME is nothing but it's a conical name record. Many records will be there. See here. A record, quad A record, CNAME record, MS record, NS record, PTR record. Resolve the IP address to domain name. Specify the authority to DNS server for a domain. Direct email to servers handling the domain name. It point one domain to another name. Maps IPv6. Maps IPv4. These are the records. This will maintain the IP addresses of that particular domain. These are the instructions that give the DNS server. So that is how DNS will work or the internet. And that's the wrap up on DNS zones and records. So guys, if you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about how the internet works, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Let me know in the comments what topic you would like to see next on Ping and Play. See you soon. Bye bye.